So we're going to pray again because this was advertised as a masterclass. And I was thinking, who's the teacher? Who is this master? And then I thought, God is the master. And it's his master class, and he wants us to eat in a particular way that's going to really help us in these end times. We probably won't be eating desserts, but this is more of an outreach for people, and I think that's what we're looking at. So with that said, let's bow our heads and pray. Dear Lord, we thank you that you are the master, and if we just partner with you and join with you, you'll take us to great places. How important it is, how vital it is to be taught by you. Lord, you have many ways to reach people, and everyone is worthy, and you love each soul. Help us to consider them precious. This is such a small thing, baking cakes and taking it to our neighbors, but the Master has a plan. And so we pray that you would connect to us, that we would connect to you, and that you would teach us just now. Hide me, Lord, and may your will be done. In your name we pray. Amen. So I had been raving about yam. I don't know if people know it. Robert was going to pull up a picture up for me. Oh, there we go. So this yam, I think in Spain they call it ñame. Ñame, yeah. It's across the Caribbean, in the continent of Africa too. And people cook it differently, but I have a dear friend, and she would come round and we would pray together and we would cook. And we had harvested some yam from the property, and I was preparing the yam because I dry it and grind it to make a flour. And as we're cutting the yam, I believe this is God impressing. I was like, this thing is so slimy. And, it gets on your hands and it can be itchy. So it's very slimy. And I said, the Lord was saying, could this be an egg replacer? Could you use the yam to make cakes? And I thought, yeah, I bet you could use yam to make cakes. And it would be fantastic for the gluten-free markets, because sometimes the cakes are kind of hard and not comparable. So my friend came around and we prayed, and we just were putting ingredients into the bowl, I believe under the inspiration of God. But we wrote down what we did, and we baked these cakes, and it was just delicious, and it was light and it was fluffy. And then I thought, yeah, we should have, when we are going to we've got the camp meeting is it October? So we've got a camp meeting anyhow, and it's a one-day event, and it's to reach the community. But the concept is no flour, no egg, no problem. Because we had this whole thing with the war with Ukraine and Russia, and people were saying, well, Ukraine is a breadbasket of the world, and how are we going to cope without flour? This yam flour, I've been experimenting with it. It can make pasta. It makes cakes. My dad traditionally cooks with it in the Caribbean and will make something called a pudding. So it's not a new thing to the market. And the wonderful thing about the plant itself is that you just need an area of land where there's not too many roots, because harvesting it is the issue. But Mom is my harvester, and she'll go out and she'll come in, and she came in with a yam that weighed the size of a small child. And we were like, wow, it's an incredible product. And so we cooked some, we dried some, we made flour with some. But yes, and the thing about it is that you just put it there, and when it is ready to be harvested, it dries down, and so you know that you can harvest it. But if you don't get round to harvesting it, it just springs back up the next year and just gets bigger. And so we also have them growing wild. So when we've had people come and do the foraging, you can identify the wild yam. There is a type that is poisonous, I've been told, and so you have to know which is okay and which is not, but it does grow wild, and so it's a good source. Some of our food that we may need is already out there, so I praise God. So we're going to start with the yam flour first. I'm going to use the one I harvested from the land. But did you buy it? So that's what we looked at online. We found this one. I haven't used it yet, but it's yam flour. I'm assuming it's the same product. And yeah, so this is the one that, oops, sorry, I'm messing with the microphones. But this is the one that we bought, and I've yet to experiment with it. It came something like Thursday.
So is it spelled Y-A-M-I-N-E?
So Y-A-M, Y-A-M.
There's four. Okay, I thought you said there's four poisonous.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, so
It's
just
YAM.
YAM.
Okay.
And what I did, because I didn't have any, but my father-in-law was alive at the time, and I was asking him, I really want to grow some yam. How do I do it? And he said, if you chop off the top of the yam head, and then you put some lime on it, it will. Yeah. So I guess this would be the yam head. It looks like it's sprouting there. So you eat the rest of the yam, but you cut it about here, and you put lime on it and let it dry a little bit, and then you put it in the ground and you'll see the sprouts just coming out. And there's different types of yam. There's yellow yam, and there's a purple yam that in the Caribbean they call St. Vincent yam. So there's different types. We've found some wild yam just growing on the property. The purple yam is just there. So if you need a plant and you want to try to get it to grow, contact me. I've got one. I think I've given you one already. So you have one, but I have another one that's already sprouting and running. So if somebody wants a yam, I've got one, and then I don't mind working with people to get some on your property. So with that said, the recipe we're looking at is the basic yam recipe on your paper. Everybody should have a handout. Um, Joy or Joel? Oh, in the folder there. I'm not sure where they've gone. Probably gone to sleep. I'm going to try and be quick, but it's you can see that's 1 cup of yam flour. I'll do it in the glass bowl and then we can see. And I found that it makes savory cakes as well as sweet, so you can use it for both. And what we're basically going to do is mix the dry ingredients in a bowl and then put the wet ingredients in the bowl and combine them. So it's a cup of yam flour and 1/3 of a cup of sugar. Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you. So 1 cup and 3 tablespoons. Thank you, Loretta. And I did that once, and it was a bit too soft. So 1, 2.
So you dried this and then ground it?
Yeah, and it dries. We had the dehydrator, and then we just had a coffee grinder at the time. So I just put it in the coffee grinder, and this is how fine it makes it. It's really nice, and it stores well. It's good. I made 2 batches. I had a box of purple yam flour and the white yam flour, and the weevils got in it. But with the purple one, it was really nice to make blueberry because it comes up as blue.
Oh, yeah.
So I just put blueberries in there and cardamom as an extra flavor. So that's the flour, and then 1/3 of a cup of sugar. Very, very simple. And we may struggle with sugar when it gets to the end times, but many of us grow sugar cane on our property, and there's also something called jujube, which is a fruit, but it's really very sweet, and it dries as a date. I'm not going to put all of that in because I put a little bit too much. Yeah, well, it's just nice to eat by itself, but when you dry it, it becomes almost like a date. And then it becomes very sweet. And I think that you could use that as a sugar substitute in a dish that you're making. Hmm. Yeah, they're expensive. This is the baking soda that I use. I know that there's probably issues with baking soda. I don't know if you found a substitute. where you are, but we still use it. We can't find something. I think some people have used yeast as a raising agent, but you need a raising agent. So this brand is Argo, and it seems not to make the cake have a taste, like a flavor, and it doesn't change the color of it. Yeah, and it changes the color. Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, and it isn't really. It's not the best thing for you. But I know Ellen G. White talks about the fact that when you're getting people that are transitioning across, they would be just shocked that they could make cakes without butter and flour, butter and eggs and dairy products. And so we have to meet people where they are and take them stage by stage. So 4 teaspoons of baking soda. And then in this one, I'm going to do a banana cake. So I'm going to just put in some raisins. Just mix that a little bit. In fact, I might put the raisins in afterwards. I put the raisins in after I mix it together. And so quarter teaspoon of salt. Oh, there it is.
I've never understood what the salt's for, and I always picked it, and it never made a difference.
Yeah.
I just never do. I'm almost
Just
always
because it's like salt
Mm.
season.
It balances the flavor. So
That's what people tell me.
yeah.
We used to put salt in our coffee and the tea.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. You don't need a lot. Just a little bit.
So
bitter.
yeah, it does. So I'm going to leave that there, and then I'm going to put in half a cup of oil. And again, we'll struggle with this when we can't buy oil. Oil is one of the things that we'll find it difficult to produce. We thought about growing sunflowers. If the squirrels would let us keep them, it would be nice. But and we've planted some olive trees. But how long it takes to produce oil, and we have some coconut, trees as well. But all of these things need processing.
By the time you process it, you don't get very much oil from it.
No.
And you waste, all these products, you've got this much oil, then oil becomes very
Expensive.
Yeah, you think maybe all the medicinal uses of it, people reserve it for medicinal uses.
That's right. Yeah. I've taken to. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does say to hope the bad time is short. And it's strange because I remember the day she went missing, and people they'll be talking about something about the end times and having to run and hide, and you're not going to be able to hide so much, and blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
I said, Pastor's mother went off for 5 hours one day, nothing found her, not
Couldn't find her.
anything, and I told her what all they had out there, and I told the one lady, I said, this is what they had out there. Well, where was she? I said she had actually walked across the street and was taking care of the neighbor's yard. But they had body cadaver dogs, they had all these different things, I was naming them off, and I said, none of them saw her. I said, the takeaway is, you don't have to hide. God will hide you.
God will hide you. If it's his desire. Yeah.
And there may be a reason you're not hidden.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to have a half cup of milk. I tend to use the oat milk because of just allergies, nut allergies. And I use the creamy one.
What type of oil is that?
This is corn oil. Yeah. But you could, it's just olive oil is quite expensive here. So I tend to go for the cheap one. I tend to avoid the rapeseed. What do they call it here? Canola. Canola oil is both Robert and Phoebe have a reaction to it. And apparently it's from mustard gas, the same plant. And so the same chemical that they use then, people can have a reaction to it. So, yeah.
I use grapeseed oil. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And we got these little spray bottles. When I use olive oil, I tend to just spray it. So I'll make toast, but I'll spray the toast with the oil rather than, you know. So they work really well. And then you're going to have, I've got no vanilla, unfortunately, but oh, sure, if you don't mind, and you have some. And then, oh, bananas. Oh, yeah, that's fine. That's what I use. I was looking at a plant actually, because I would love to have a plant. So here's some banana that I mashed. I just want to say you can use any fruit pulp, but because I'm going to do banana cake, then I've used bananas. But in the other ones, when I do the wheat flour, this will be applesauce, mangoes. I bought some cakes for us to taste with the wheat flour. They're made, I use strawberry as the pulp. So just whatever pulp you want to use. And you're going to use a cup of that in the yam flour. And this again is quite gloopy. And I wonder if it has, you know, like egg-like qualities.
I was thinking that could be used to hold together.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeannie. Yeah. Applesauce is what I use. And if you want it to have a neutral flavor, then you use applesauce. If I'm making a savory, so you could make this with chickpeas instead of raisins and spinach, you know, wilted spinach leaves and, you know, vegan cheese. And then it's a savory muffin that you can have with soup. So that works well too. But you don't want the banana flavor.
I used chia seed once when I was making some cupcakes. And the only problem I have with chia seed is if you don't break it down, it looks like this is still all through it, and they're going, there's no bugs in there. Chia seeds. But they, you know, it does. It looks like the bugs are running through it.
Yeah.
Real, but I had there's white chia seeds, and I still haven't bought those yet. I need to
Yeah.
use those, but I'm not done using the other stuff.
But vanilla would be a great plant to have. You know, can you imagine? Because vanilla beans are so expensive, and the extract. But if you have the bean and you just open it, that would be wonderful. And so, teaspoon of vanilla. Mm-hmm. And then you're simply going to whisk the wet ingredients together. And then just add it to the dry. And just combine. And it looks like a typical cake batter. I don't know about eating it when it's raw. You know, like sometimes the children want to lick the bowl. As far as I know, yam needs to be cooked before you eat it. So I don't give them the bowl to lick. But and then the last thing I'm going to just add, I think it was a half cup of raisins.
I'm just seeing the images you doing this, just using my hand like that. Oh, yeah, quarter cup.
I very rarely have recipes. So people will say, can I have the recipe for that? And I come unstuck because like grandma made it, she'd put things in, it looks okay.
Yeah. I asked her for her lasagna recipe one day, and she's telling me over the phone. She says, "Well, you put it in your hand and you figure about some." And I said, "Grandma, how much in your hand?"
Yes.
About a quarter cup.
So that is it. And then, like I said, I've sprayed the pan with a little olive oil. And then I found this cute little thing that really works very well. But you just, put a little bit in each. Could we set the oven to maybe 300? I think.
350.
Yeah, I said 350, but I usually use the large muffin pans. But I'm thinking these are much smaller.
It's less fun.
Yeah. So I was thinking maybe to put it on a less intense heat. Hmm. I did the small ones because of the taster. Like, will be so unhealthy because there's lots of cake today.
Yes.
So I thought if we just have a little bit, that's good.
But it's a good idea even for, if you're having neighbors over and have
Mm-hmm.
a little
Mm-hmm.
treat, you just have a little bit.
Yeah.
And you've all got some boxes now, so you can go home and start preparing. Next week, we'll have little cards, and you can take envelopes which you can write like a personal message to your neighbor, put it in the box for your neighbor. Okay?
My neighbors will be glad to see me coming because I make them cupcakes all the time anyway. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was saying to Tish yesterday that everybody has something that, God has given them that they know to do well. And we were talking about having a remnant cookbook. Because, sometimes you go to fellowship lunch and you taste something and you think, this is so good. So if you've got something, oops, a little too much in that one. But, if you've got something that God has impressed you to make, it's good to share. I think Ellen G. White said, this is not the time to keep healthy recipes to yourself.
Well,
If you can share.
That diabetic class
Mm-hmm.
weren't advents.
Yeah.
Right.
But I've never had so many people approach me about those chocolate. They said,
Mm-hmm.
"Did you make the chocolate tarts?" And I said, "Well, it's carob
Mm-hmm.
and avocados." Avocados? Are you kidding?
Yeah, they get freaked out when they think of the different.
Really?
I'm like,
Yeah.
just think about this. It's really good for you.
Yeah.
But when you taste it first,
You would never know. And Tish does a lovely key lime one as well, which is delicious. But, just presenting people with alternatives because we're not going to sit and eat sweets.
Melissa's mother gave me
No,
the
her
recipe,
does
so
one
we gotta
too.
give her credit.
Yeah, but she usually does the little ones.
I just put them in the tarts.
Mm-hmm.
I just do the tarts because it makes more.
Yeah.
And really, have you ever kind of noticed that you really don't need a great big old slice of that stuff?
No.
It's just so rich.
Yeah.
But I did notice.
I'll struggle with it.
Sebastian too.
We were putting houses together in this golf community, and these two gentlemen came down the road because we were always doing something to fix in their house. And they came and brought us this dessert.
Oops.
And it was an Italian dessert. It was absolutely delicious. And it was a cheesecake. And they gave us this much. I'm like,
rich.
cheesecake, and you don't know what's wrong with it? He said, Sandy, taste it first. And I tasted it, and I said, oh my goodness, you couldn't eat more than that.
It's just
Rich.
It was so rich. It was delicious. But if you had more than that, it was really
Be too much, yeah.
So they would give us this much. Just a little taste.
So my mum would say to me right now, more haste and less speed. So I've slopped it everywhere. But we can put these in when it's reached temperature. And then I'll do the wheat ones. Would you put them in when they reach temperature? I'd ask Joel and Joy, but I think they've gone to sleep. Oh yeah, if you're not busy, Phoebe. Thank you. When it gets to temperature, yeah. Oopsie. So I'm going to wash a couple of things and come back, and then we can do the wheat cake. Oh, I forgot to put something in it.
Oops.
Let me see.
Did you forget the lemon?
I forgot the lemon juice.
Is it gonna hurt it?
I don't know.
No.
You know, because the thing is, it's like it causes a chemical reaction, so it makes it. It might not rise, or it may rise and then flop. So, and the so I'm rushing, but you can put in lemon juice, or you can put in apple cider vinegar. And so I tend to use apple cider vinegar because we've got some allergies to the lemon juice, but the lemon juice is better. So I won't put it in just yet. I'm going to scoop it out, and then I'm going to mix in that. So yes, so you'll need the lemon juice in. I know. No, I won't do it now. But the good thing is, I've remembered before it got in the oven. So praise the Lord. Yeah.
I thought maybe I missed it. I didn't see it.
All right. So I'm going to rinse these off, and then we can do the wheat flour cake. Oh, sure. Yeah. So let me take the bowl back.
Oh, look.
Delete.
Thank you. Phoebe, what I might let you do. Yeah, no, I wouldn't lick it. If you don't mind, Phoebes, you can just go like that and get them all back in. Yeah. I don't know where Joel and Joy are. They were supposed to be my little helpers. I can just do mine now. Yeah, to rinse the stuff, but you'd have to be available. So this is missing an ingredient. So I'm going to let you just go like this and scoop them all out.
And eat them?
It's yam flour, so you don't want to eat it.
Oh, man.
Is it the one on the top, Phoebe?
Just push it.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. It's going on.
Is it on? Okay, there we go.
There it is.
Mm-hmm. So we're back. So this is the ones that we tend to have every Sabbath. It's just a basic recipe, and then you can vary it. So if I want to make like the raisin bran muffins, where it says 1 1/4 cup of bread flour, I actually use all-purpose flour. And because it's not bread flour, I put in some vital wheat gluten. But if you have bread flour, then you don't need the vital wheat gluten.
Okay, my question would be if somebody's gluten intolerant, is that going to be something that they would not eat? So you
Yeah.
want to say it has gluten in it.
Yeah. And regular flour has gluten in anyway.
Right.
But the bread flour has a higher concentration of gluten, so it makes it more elastic and it will stretch when you're baking the bread. But if they have a gluten intolerance, that's where you're going to do the yam flour cakes. Yeah. So there's something there for everybody. So it's, and I better follow this recipe, right? You can tell I don't follow recipes.
I'm with you.
I'm having to learn. Yeah. So it's 1 cup of bread flour and 1/4 cup. You don't either. I'm looking for my 1/4 cup measure.
That's why I hate food.
Mm.
Because I can't eat your size.
Yeah, I'm not very good at following recipes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm missing my 1/4 cup. So I think maybe I took it down to be washed and it's not been washed yet.
Detail.
Possibly.
Minute details. Like those power books that they say for adults. They got all the labels and I'm like, who's going to use this?
So while I'm waiting for the 1/4 cup measure to come, I'll do the self-rising flour. And this is just 1 cup of self-rising flour. And I don't need to put salt in this recipe because this flour is salty. It's funny, in England, our self-rising flour doesn't have salt in it. And so when I came here, I was so excited because I was like, oh, wow, you have self-rising flour. I can bake all my cakes. And I baked a cake with this and it was just salty. You can't find the 1/4 cup? Okay.
Is it that little teeny one right there?
So that is
Or is that the third?
an 1/8 cup. That's a third. Yeah, that's right. I was thinking I'll just use 2/8. Which one's that one? Sorry.
The one that you add with the all purpose.
Okay, yeah.
No, that's a half cup.
It'll turn up at the end. Don't worry.
Blue one.
No, the quarter cup. So this is this one you're saying, Loretta? Yeah, the gluten flour.
The other one, the big one. That's
This is self-rising.
So this is self-rising flour.
if you have self-rising, it has baking soda in it.
It has some, yeah.
You got, live teaspoons of baking
That's
soda
right.
and baking.
Uh-huh. So you need both to help it to be lighter and fluffier. Oh, thank you. Well, Robert said just use 2/8. I said, yeah, that works, but I can use that too. Mm-hmm. I remember it dropping and I took it down to wash it, but not to worry. So my quarter cup is missing in action. So I'm just going to put in 2/8 cups. All right. And so we've got in the self-rising flour, we've got in the plain flour. And so then we need a quarter cup of fine cornmeal.
These are the little cakes that you make in the bun.
In the bundit pans, or we've got some,
I like those.
yeah. And so you just vary the recipe.
I like those too. Can they freeze good?
They freeze really well. The ones you're going to eat today, some of the ones are frozen. Are they in the oven, Robert?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
If they come out good,
Then you bake them. I know how that works. Okay. So quarter cup of gluten flour. But again, if you have bread flour, you don't need this in there. And then a cup of sugar. And if you want less sugar, I tend to put a lot less sugar in. If I'm putting in like the carob chips. So this is just cane sugar. But you have coconut sugar. There's lots of other sugars that you can use now. If I wanted to make like a ginger cake, I would put in dark brown sugar and substitute that. Or if I'm making a strawberry cake, I actually put in strawberry Nesquik. So there's a children's drink we used to have in England, and it's a powder, and you mix it with your milk. Yeah, I buy it actually in the Spanish section, milkshake, and so yes, Nestle's milkshake. So I use that if I'm doing strawberry cake. But I was just listening to Tish yesterday, and she was talking about strawberry extract. So I was thinking, I might try some of that too. So we're always learning, aren't we? And always being open to learn as well. So dry ingredients, so far we've got the 2 flours, the cornmeal, we've got the sugar and the gluten. So we need some baking soda. And I may have used that already.
You said you use the gluten flour if you don't use the bread flour. So that's a quarter cup. So do you need to add an extra quarter cup?
So it would still be 1 1/4 cup of the bread flour.
And you don't need another quarter cup to replace the gluten?
Oh yes, yeah. If you're not having the gluten, so it'd be 1.5 cups. Yeah. Well spotted. Yeah. So baking soda 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think that's all the dry ingredients. I know, right? Yeah, I think that's all the dry ingredients. And then you're just going to measure out the wet ingredients. So 1 cup of oil again. And I think this is nice for people because this is where you would usually put butter. So this eliminates the butter. And 1 cup of applesauce. So the pink cakes over there I've made are with, are with lemon juice instead of vinegar. But this one the ones I'm doing here will be with the vinegar.
So that was 1/2 cup?
1 cup of applesauce. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, I think it's probably less than that because I've looked and I'm thinking, oh, there's not much applesauce. It's not quite a 1/4 cup. Ah, yeah, yeah, probably just a little bit less than that, maybe.
So it's either 2 cups of mashed dried bananas or 1 cup
of applesauce. Yeah, and I was saying before, if you were going to make mango cake, you would put in mango pulp. If I'm doing a ginger cake, I put in ginger pulp. So I may put in 1/2 cup of. So you're basically keeping the liquid and the dry the same, however you want to vary it. If I'm making, I think, Gina, you liked the raisin bran cake. So here I would put in a cup of ground up raisin bran and then substitute that for the all-purpose flour. So, yeah.
So that's all-purpose flour, bran.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I would use wheat flour as well in the raisin bran cakes. I use wheat flour instead of, the all-purpose. Mm-hmm. So that's the oil, that's the sugar. And then we need the 2 cups of milk and apple cider vinegar. So this is still plant-based.
So then that gives you a reaction.
Yeah.
More bubbles.
I think it seems to keep it up. So you can use apple cider vinegar or lemon. So I tend to go with the apple cider vinegar because of the allergies, but lemon works just the same. And it is 2 tablespoons. And I used to think the cake would taste like, but it doesn't seem to do that. Now I'm going to make a almond and apricot cake. So I'm just going to put it in. So instead of the vanilla extract, you can put in whatever flavor, mint, almond. Oh, it's not open.
And what is this almond?
So this is just almond extract, but you could put vanilla, mint, various flavors. And I put in a tablespoon.
A tablespoon of.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing I forgot to do is, because I'm making almond cake, I'm going to put in some almond flour. There's no nut allergies here today, is there? Mm-hmm. And with the nut flour, I've found that I don't have to put in extra liquid because it kind of balances things out because it's got in the oils and everything. So I'll just put in a cup of almond flour. So this is just if I want a particular flavor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you're putting in nuts, maybe like ground pecans, you don't need to put in additional flour to help it hold, or additional liquids. So then I'll mix that together again.
Okay, so you use the regular recipe and then you just add the flour to it besides.
Besides, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it seems to work out fine.
It's basically just like adding some nuts to it.
Yeah. But they're just ground instead. And so then you just pour the wet into the dry.
On travel and this day on desserts, so I don't have any confidence that mine's gonna turn out like theirs.
Oh.
Yeah, she does, yeah.
If it's soup or something like that, but
No.
it's sweet.
Yeah, pray it works out. Because sometimes, you forget things, and even with the yam flour, sometimes it needs more. And I actually weigh out my dry ingredients, so I'll always have some dry ingredients to hand. Because sometimes I look at it and I think, oh, that looks a bit runny, depending on which fruit pulp I've used.
Yes.
And so then I'll put in a couple of teaspoons more. And then I'm just going to add some apricots, and I'll put about a cup of apricots. But you can put in carob, you can put in chocolate chip. Carob makes it quite a little more drier. Yeah, the nuts make quite a moist cake. Is that scoop thing washed, Rob?
No, it can be.
Thank you. Make sure I put everything in.
Did you get the quarter cup of gluten?
I didn't, did I? Because I'm looking at this thinking it looks different.
I've been watching you.
Yeah. I appreciate it, Tish. I didn't put it in, did I?
Opened it and closed it.
Yeah. And it makes a difference. And also the guar gum.
Now, what is that for?
So when I put it in here, it makes it stiffer, and it makes it rise and be quite fluffy. So you're right, I didn't have those two in there.
That's guava?
Guar gum.
Oh.
It's from a bean, I think. Yeah.
Guava?
Guar gum.
Guar gum.
So it was a quarter cup of gluten.
How much of this guava?
And the guar gum it should be on there.
It's not.
It's not. So the guar gum is 2 teaspoons. I'll pass this around.
How much of the guar gum?
2 teaspoons it will be. Oh, actually, this lid is very good.
What does the guar gum do?
So it thickens it and it helps it to rise and stay up and not get flat. Yeah.
Well, you know the difference between like a cupcake and a bundt cake. This is more like the bundt cake. It's a little more dense, but it rises. And when it's dense like that, it won't rise it unless you put this extra stuff. Okay, this is a
something I've not ever seen.
But she brings these.
Okay, let me pass it round and then I'll start it here.
That is something I'm going to have to make sure I have.
Yeah, and you could get it at Food for Thought.
Food for thought.
Mm-hmm.
Or you buy it on Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon's going to be much cheaper.
It's cheaper at Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
We went there, we went to Food for Thought.
You buy in packs, I think you buy in packs of 6.
Oh, yeah, but so that wouldn't be like cornstarch then,
No, and I've tried xanthan gum and it didn't work. It needed to be this gum. But I think that this could be substituted for yam flour. So I think yam flour behaves in the same way as that. Mm.
well, that's a big place. That's a scary big place. Yeah, Publix is a little crazy sometimes too, you know what? I can always find what I want. Yeah. This is a thickening agent, this is if somebody has a swallowing problem, vegan thickening, because it would thicken and then they could swallow it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if you had somebody at home and you didn't want to go buy the expensive thickening stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you could
Yes.
use that.
So Loretta's been looking at this is power of Google. She's been fact checking everything, and she said that what does guar gum do to your gut? This is the adversely impacts the gut microbiotic activity.
Oh, it does.
And colonic immune response and increases susceptibility to colonic inflammation.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
So you can skip that and just put in yam flour. Nope.
Put 1 teaspoon of that in a great big thing of Cupcake,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure.
And I'm looking because I didn't have my quarter cup measure. I think I only put in a 1/8 of a cup of cornmeal.
A lot of times those studies are based on somebody just.
Yeah, vast amounts. But it's good to be aware. Yeah. Yeah, you could put in yam flour. So you're going to end up with a batter that looks a bit like this, with everything in. And then you're just going to scoop it into the tray and bake again. Are those cakes done, Rob?
Are they done? I didn't open
If it's got a light, you can press the light and have a look through the glass.
We do this one. That's got bird tea. What is places like?
Okay.
Not black enough.
Does anyone know when to check it, like your ginger that you're growing or your marrow?
When it dries down. Yeah. Yeah. And it's ready to harvest.
Yeah, when all the nutrients go from the leaves back into the root, okay, that's when you take it off. And then you just twist off the top and put the top back in the ground. Some of them will regrow next year.
Oh, really? The actual. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Some will. I've had it about 50%.
That's a good percentage.
Will grow next year. Is that right?
I had adopted all my favorite candies. This very small group. And also pomegranate. So every day, you don't like those.
I used to find it better to watch somebody do something, even though I have the recipe in front of me. Um, and my mum would be one for just looking at something and thinking, oh, that needs something else. And she would just put something else in and it would work. Yeah. Mm.
And you can imagine what it delicious.
Was it only for Halloween or was it?
No, it was in their small package area, and he said he gets it there all the time. And he likes the flavor of it. I'm like, oh, very cool.
Cause I don't use a lot of candy.
No, but there's some that just.
Because I buy that, what do you call it, chocolate from Italy.
Yeah.
And you can buy the 78% dark chocolate. Oh my gosh. But I can buy, 5 little bars of milk chocolate right too. And I can break off little pieces off of one bar. And but he'll eat the whole thing.
No, that's not much. But I will too, I have to be careful for some candy when I eat it.
Well,
I don't buy it.
cakes, donuts. I like
Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts headlights. It's called headlights. It's a donut. You see it in Dunkin' Donuts. It's a donut. Chocolate frosting. It's got a little white dab on the top.
Oh.
And it's got that same frosting inside. It's not custody. It's cream. I like those.
And see, I go to the apple fruit.
Oh, yeah.
I get to it, just melts. Delicious. I'm fat. I don't know where you get all the juicy stuff.
All right, so when the banana ones come out, we'll pop those in the oven too. Yeah. No, I'll just put it on the side. Mm-hmm. So the demonstration is over, but what I wanted to say to everyone here is that everybody's got something that they do, and it's just about, making what you make. And so it might not be cupcakes. Loretta makes a mean, zucchini bread. And so it doesn't have to be cupcakes. It could be zucchini bread. That's right. Yeah. She's got some over there, actually.
Oh, great.
Yeah. We missed it yesterday. And then Tish does the little, tarts, the chocolate tarts, and the strawberry cake, which is delicious. So if you make brownies or whatever it is, it's just about going out. We'll take home some little cartons. I don't know if you were here at the beginning, but we're hoping to meet our neighbours and kind of introduce ourselves. We probably know them already, but just going with an olive branch and here's some cupcakes I made, and then you keep doing that and building up relationships. So it's not just going to be with cupcakes. If you see them out and they're doing something that you can help them with, if you see them in the store, it's being intentional, I think, is the thing. And this is just one intentional thing that you could do, but your neighbor might be diabetic. And if you're intentionally bringing them sugar cupcakes and things like that, it's not going to be the outreach that they need. So we must, remember that the Spirit of God is going to guide us as to what our neighbor needs. And it may have nothing to do with this at all. but it's the intentionality that I think we're trying to achieve today. And everybody does something. Pat does these amazing salads. It could be something completely different. But let's be intentional about engaging with our community, meeting whatever needs they have, getting to know them, and then hopefully we'll have people that we can then invite to the barbecue, that we can invite to the various health seminars. The one Fight for Your Marriage, it sounds amazing. The one about mental health and childcare. Yeah, they go together, don't they? But just, being willing to work and go where God calls us to go, I think is the thing. So.
When Sean found out, and I walked outside, one of my neighbors, I hadn't seen her for 2 days, and she's getting a little bit decorated up her house, and she made her over to chat, and she said, "What can we do to help you guys?" And I needed a toilet that Sean could sit down on and not be in the floor.
Yeah.
Because ours is like,
low down.
And I said something about it. I said, "I'm trying to get my nephew to come down," and she said, "Oh, that's okay. No, don't worry about that. My husband will do it." And so he came over and talked to Sean, and all of a sudden Sean's got another day that he was gone for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Talking to the neighbors.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're a real, person because I've never gone and talked to them.
Yeah.
I thought they spoke Spanish only.
Right.
And so I never went down there. And they speak perfect English because they were born here.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes we can go with an attitude that I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
But it's often in the reverse. And whenever we do something for the Lord, he has that two-edged sword. So that's something that we do, may help them, may not, but sometimes they are the ones that need to help us.
Yeah. Look at the people we saved up in Madeira Beach. We went over there and picked them up because they'd been wiped out in the Hurricane Helene, and they had stripped their whole house out and they had the drywall off and everything. And then Milton starts heading our way. And they called us, and I said, "Do you want me to come and get you? Would you? Would you?" And so I went and picked them up because they're kind of just decimated. They're just sleeping in the middle of
chaos,
bare walls.
Yeah.
And I'll come and get you. And I've known these people in Colorado for years. So we went over and picked up 5 of them. But oh my goodness, because Tom can't walk around. And this other Tom, for years and years and years, he drove our houseboats early on. And he's a mechanical engineer. And so he and Tom had our big whole house generator up and running in no time because Tom can't get around anymore. And then the air conditioning went off, and he climbed up there and got that all fixed and turned on. And then the day after the hurricane, all 5 of them went out and cleaned up the whole yard. And
wow.
I just said, you guys were way more of a blessing to me because I would have had to done all this by myself. And you just don't know what a blessing you were to us, and they were good Christian people. And I said, all I did was provide you with a bed. You did everything. They cooked.
Yeah.
They did everything else. And then when we went back to Madeira Beach, luckily they weren't flooded out the same time, but I was just sick at my stomach from the hurricane before. There was people's personal stuff piled up outside the houses, probably 6-8 feet deep.
We can't imagine what it's like to lose everything like that.
It was just incredible.
And Maria, and you drive on, and there's sand all the way up the door.
Yes, I saw that.
And it's not the sandbags.
No.
Sand. And then you see all these buildings still being built, that brand new builds, and I'm thinking, why are you doing this? In a couple of years, a hurricane's going to come and wipe it out. But when Milton came, Milton did not affect those buildings. It only affected the older buildings. And I always call it my beautiful Anna Maria.
It's not. And we have more of this to come.
Yeah, Longboat Key was decimated. And we were driving through, and there was a fire, and I think the car caught fire.
I don't know.
Just weird stuff is happening.
Yeah, I just looked, but I can smell them now, right? Let me go check. Thank you.